Good afternoon, Aidan. Thank you for taking some time to
Afternoon.
get involved in our business owner spotlight. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do?
Sure. So I'm Aidan Harbinson. I'm a co-founder at a company called Horrible Brands, where we do brand-led creative and technical projects.
All right, and what is it that set you guys apart? You guys apart? What makes you particularly horrible?
It's a funny thing. We kind of picked the name Horrible because we wanted something that resonates. If we're going to be brand-led and it's all about branding, then we want to stand out, right? We want to differentiate. So
Sure.
Horrible, it kind of started off as a joke actually with Chris. But the more we kind of started to set out our stall, it just really resonated with people and it took
Yeah.
off from there. And, you know, we're just kind of different now by definition. Of course, you can't actually be horrible, so it keeps us, it holds us, I guess, to a very high standard, actually. But I think what really sets us apart in our services, so we do few different things actually. We do actual brand creation from brand strategy through to brand identity and design of all the visual aspects,
Yes.
everything that goes with that. Brand strategy being like tone of voice, design, messaging, how you're positioning yourself right into, your mission statement, your vision for the future, helping people to design all that. Um, so we very often start at that point. From there, it can go to all your digital touch points, website and social media and any creative that you need around those. We can design that. And because we're kind of really engrossed in the brand, I guess, we're with you there collaborating and we understand the brand. We can kind of keep a nice kind of cohesion or consistency across all those touch points. We also do some user experience design work for software products, apps, and web applications as well as kind of mobile apps. So we do design around that, but because it's brand led, it's really about the customer experience and understanding what indeed then sets our clients apart and how they want to stand out themselves.
Yeah, sounds cool. Makes sense as well. So, like, who would you most want to speak to? Like, if I was just like brand new, haven't got a business, am I a better client for you? Or, I mean, could you work with somebody who has a 20-year-old business and maybe has a brand already?
Yeah, absolutely. We work with a range of people. So there are quite a few startups that we've worked with, and particularly in the tech space because we're kind of techie, geeky guys at heart. And so we can talk their language. And my background's quite technical as well. I'm project manager, technical project manager, computer science, all that. So I'm coming from that world into sort of branding and marketing. And my experience is kind of broad, I guess, that way. So the kind of startups are a perfect place. But we also work with quite a few SMEs and a lot of people in the sort of professional services sector and a few charities as well. So there's quite a broad mix, but that kind of keeps us engaged as well. It's nice to be able to kind of switch your focus as well and you learn new things, working across those different areas.
Yeah, and I mean, is it something you want to do from end to end, or if somebody came to you and said, "Look, I just want you to run my socials," for example, is that something you would get involved in as a standalone, or would you have to be, would you prefer to be involved in developing the brand and then run the socials from there?
Not necessarily. I mean, there can be standalone services, so it can be limited to brand strategy. And our business is built on connection and collaboration. So there's quite a few networks we're involved in. I suppose the biggest one being the No BS network of creative agencies. So No BS, very similar to Horrible. It's on brand for us already,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But yeah, there's 120 small creative agencies similar to ourselves, and we all work with quite a similar framework. We've kind of taken it and bent and broke some rules and kind of remade it, I guess, to suit our skill sets because we have a more enhanced offering. But those guys are very used to brand led creative. They're mainly based in the US, but they've obviously got partners in Ireland, UK.
Sure.
There's a couple in Australia now. So, yeah, very often, we need to slot in as part of a project team, and that's completely fine as long as there's, good communication and an understanding of the brand and clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes we're coming in to website on the build side, and there's already a brand established, but we need to kind of flesh that out into a design,
Enhance it a bit more.
and
But
then build
what
it
I'm
out.
getting with you guys is, you're just very innovative. You're not going to just do the run of the mill or what everybody else does. It's always going to be that bit different. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, yeah, it would. I mean, well, we really want our clients to stand out, so we try to do things that will break the mold. Chris is a big picture, creative thinker, so he tries to be as outside of the box with his thinking as possible. He actually did something with a client, Eunice O'Neill, who's a an international corporate coach there and very focused on corporate culture, where he turned her profile picture upside down.
Yeah,
So that I mean, and it's just a very simple idea, but when you're scrolling through LinkedIn and you see an upside
stands
down
out.
profile
Yeah,
picture, and then the messaging also is consistent with that, and it's all about transformation.
yeah,
So yeah, it really catches the eye.
yeah,
I think that one might have came from the kind of the broken Duolingo
right.
icon that you see on mobile phone screens these days. So it actually looks cracked, and I thought
Yeah,
that was a brilliant way to stand out for those guys. And
yeah,
so yeah, sometimes it can be just simple ideas. Sometimes there's a big technology element. Two systems have to talk to each other. So it just depends on really what gets us the best outcome
yeah.
for the client, I suppose.
Very
But
cool. So,
we use quite a bit of AI as well in
right.
what we do. So we use that to help our clients with their content generation. Um, that could be imagery or patterns that are actually used on the website. It could be in their packaging. Um, design as well. And when it comes to the content, very often what we do is take a brand strategy, we flesh that out into tone of voice documents, and we use that to program ChatGPT or a custom channel, and then
Sure.
they're getting content that's much more accurate and consistent with our tone of voice. So
Yeah.
we do try to be, as weird and wonderful as we possibly can, and I think that's a big part of Horrible.
Yeah, it's cool. It sounds exciting as well. So what about you then? So, obviously co-founder, business is going a few years now. You know, you talked about your background, which is quite different to where you are now. What's led you into a brand agency like this?
There was a desire for me to do something different. I'd worked in large marketing agencies and been a part of that world. I'd worked for a big tech company as a program manager and headed up quite a large team of project managers and 150 in-flight projects at any given time. So I felt like I'd done it in a creative space, and then I'd done it fully technical and at scale. And I wanted the chance to build something for myself.
Yeah,
I also wanted the chance to be creative. And when Chris came to me, he started to lay out the value proposition and how we do everything brand led, and his original ideas for the workshops and everything that is part of our framework, and how we maximize time for ourselves and our clients. And it just all really made sense. I thought he was sitting on a really strong value proposition. So it was nearly like a Wolf of Wall Street moment, if for the film fans out there. It's like, I literally said to him, look, if we're going to do this, I'm quitting my job on Monday, kind of thing.
good.
And thankfully I hadn't looked back. Yeah,
Yeah,
so but it did take quite a bit of bravery, as you can imagine, to walk away from a big tech job and say, yeah, I'm actually starting a branding agency. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, but then it just shows the passion and the belief you had in it. So, what would you say then has been the biggest learning you've had since you've gone from a big corporate job into building something for yourself? What's been your biggest learning on that journey?
think there's a need to the biggest learning is almost a recognition of the need to stay aware and keep learning. Technology in particular is changing so fast, but with it, design and customer experience trends as well. Um, People are starting to get, I suppose, better knowledge of brand and how they differentiate. So, and very often it can be quite competitive out there. So you kind of need to stay up to date on things. Keep reading, keep learning, and really invest the time where possible to keep developing yourself, so you can bring the best possible you on any given day to the table.
Yeah, and obviously, you're better, then you better result for your clients and better business then.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and what about so? that's been your biggest learning as a business. What about you as a person then? So you quit your job and started a business. What have you learned about yourself?
I think it's to trust my instincts. If I'm making a brave decision, then to stick to it. Looking back, it's easy to kind of stay safe and stay in that safe place, even if there's a realization that you're kind of unhappy there or you're not really developing yourself.
Yeah,
Um, so in challenging yourself, I think there's a need to kind of say, well, what do I want? And let's be brave and make that decision and stick to it. And then every further kind of decision after that, we'll just add to it. So yeah,
um,
there's a great quote from Bob Proctor actually, and it's once you decide what you want, all the people and resources and ideas that you need will appear every time. So
yeah,
I'm slightly paraphrasing that one, but yeah, that's
yeah. Basically, find what you look for.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And what about then? When you're when once so now you're in it. Then what do you see as the challenges moving forward? What's the next 5 years look like for you guys, and what do you see the main challenges are going to be?
So we're actually creating a what's called a vivid vision document. It's based on a book by Cameron Harold, and it's all about writing your 3 year plan. The idea being that 5 years can get a bit lofty.
Sure.
It's a bit too fantastical, and anything less than sort of 3 years, you're not really giving yourself enough time to kind of really achieve what you want to achieve. So we're trying to be extra brave and ambitious with this document in terms of setting out our approach in terms of building the business internationally. We're already blessed with a number of really good international clients, both coasts of
Sure.
the US, and hopefully we're going to be securing another client in the Middle East soon as well. England, and Dublin and further across Ireland. So I think in building that out, there's a need to um have the proper resource in place, and so we've been kind of looking at people that we can partner with to keep that collaboration side going, and really be able to spin up a project team in any time zone. So it is that ambitious. It's literally, well, we could be working anywhere in the world from New York to Shanghai. That's what
Yeah.
we're trying to build towards. Yeah, we're also doing quite a bit to build our own authority in terms of kind of speaking events, and that's beginning with the 6 workshops with Seth Godin next year. So there's two in Belfast, two in Dublin, two in Derry.
Sure.
Where Seth, albeit he doesn't fly, so he's dialing in remotely, is going to be teaching strategy, and we're going to try to ground that with practical exercises from our own workshops. So we're doing that along with Trina Clark and Andy Jarvis from Eximo. So we're really excited about that, and I think that's a massive coup for Belfast and indeed Ireland, for this part of the
Yeah.
world to
Sounds
get the
awesome. Yeah.
Godfather marketing. Yeah,
Yeah, unbelievable. And again, that's just having that big vision, that you
yeah.
can support him to come and everything else. So, yeah, just is there anything on your journey that if you've like any lessons you've had to learn the hard way, or anything if you could start again, you would have done it differently?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of lessons learned. I try to kind of, take lessons learned from each day or certainly every week. When a project finishes, I've seen that work well in business. So I think, what we try to do internally is, between even myself and Chris, is a quarterly review. We get together, we review what went well, we review, how we're meeting our kind of objectives and what we're doing working on the business versus working in the business. So I think,
Sure.
that's certainly something that people need to have an awareness of. Are you working exclusively in the business, or you're working on the business? You need to really be setting aside time each week
Yeah,
and trying to develop your own offering and make yourself better and improve for the sake of your customers.
100%. And so if you were able to, just to finish up, if you were able to go back and speak to an 18-year-old Aidan, what's the one piece of advice you would give him then?
I think to be brave, make a
Mm.
decision. and stay passionate about it and stay believing. I think when we're all teenagers, there's always a bit of a crisis of confidence, and nobody more so than myself. You know, I was the typical insecure teenager becoming a man and not really like wondering what that change was going to look like. So I think decide what you want and kind of go after it. You know, I know that sort of sounds maybe a bit fluffy, as in chase your dreams, but um, I certainly wish I had realized it when I was younger than I am now, in my
Yeah,
30s.
we forget to do that sometimes, don't we?
hmm I think so. I think so.
Well, listen, mate, I appreciate you coming on.
No
Thank
worries.
you for being so candid, and lots of cool stuff in there. And actually, sounds like a really exciting journey you're on, and cool things to come in 2025. So I wish you and Chris well with it, and excited to watch your journey and where you guys go from here. But thanks again for your time today.
Thanks very much, Scott. Thanks for having me.